Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My dad cheated on my mom, and after that, my relationship with him has been strained. My mom was very strong for us the whole time, even though it was incredibly hard for her because she genuinely loved my dad, and he repaid her by ducking another woman behind her back. My dad and mom obviously got divorced, and my dad and his mistress moved into a very bad neighborhood in a rusty old apartment, and believe it or not, their life was turning like hell. And sorry, not sorry, I don't feel bad for them. My mom is now dating this really nice guy whom I'm particularly close with. They are planning to get married and right now in 2021 are currently expecting another baby, which I was absolutely ecstatic about. I begged my mom to let me name her and she finally agreed. I suggested we name her Tegan because I really liked the name and my mom said that it was perfect and she really liked it as well. It was finally decided that the baby would be named Tegan and I've been over the moon ever since. My dad called me. He does not call me that often, because apparently he was somehow informed that my mom was having a baby. I confirmed that yes, she was having a baby, and he was a bit surprised and would later tell me that his mistress was having a baby too. But I told him I could not care less because as far as I was concerned, they were nothing to me. He got really pissy about it, but would later ask me how we were planning to name, and I told him proudly that we were going to name her Tegan. He exploded and said how I was horrible for suggesting to name my sister after a name he had decided to name his daughter, as if he told me about it before, like, what the duck? He just kept on ranting and being a man-child, and I could not take it anymore. So I've told him to duck off and call me when he is mature enough to understand simple stuff like this. Now he has been blowing up my phone and telling me how his mistress is upset and that she has been planning to name her daughter Tegan ever since she found out she was pregnant. Personally, I don't feel like I'm the a-hole at all, but what do you all think? Am I the a-hole? Not an a-hole. It's just a really awkward coincidence. Part of me wonders if it is even that, or if OP's dad claimed they wanted the name to just make drama. I guess if OP truly doesn't consider them part of her life, it shouldn't be a problem. OP liked the name and chose it first. Sod them. But if it's not too traumatic, I would try to let mom or stepdad know. Just as they may regret the name if her and her new partner choose to go ahead with it. My brother, Alan, had a one-night stand at a party with a woman, Julie, who he had never met before, and he was drunk. A few months later, he and Julie ended up pregnant. He had a paternity test. Alan has a highly paid job. He promised to pay child support and be there for the kid, but he refused to get involved any more than necessary with the mother. My father decided to give Alan a small two-bedroom apartment as a graduation gift. One day, Julie showed up at his door, claiming that his sister kicked her off the house and had nowhere else to go. He let her stay with the kid, but on the condition that she didn't interfere with his life. But after about 2 months, Julie started acting like his wife. She tried calling his work to talk to him, started complaining about him coming home late. But the final straw was when she was going through his phone and got jealous at him texting other women and then demanding that they go to couples counseling. They were never a couple, and he stated it clearly since day one. After that, he had enough. He packed his stuff and left. He told Julie that she could live there and he would keep paying child support, but to never bother him again. She was angry. A few months after Alan left the apartment, he met Amy. Amy is amazing. Julie got jealous of Amy, called her a homewrecker. Fast forward 5 years, Alan proposes to Amy. A few months ago, Julie somehow found out where they live, and they ambushed him when Amy was traveling for work. He was waiting for them with her whole family at his house. They started yelling and berating for being a bad father and an awful husband, for not sending enough money for his son, while living in a big fancy house with his mistress. Her family demanded Alan to break up with Amy and to officially marry Julie, and to get couples counseling to save the relationship. Alan got mad, threatened to call the cops and demand them to leave his property. He later decided to evict Julie from his apartment. She tried to fight it in court, but lost. After all that, My brother decided to give the apartment to me since he doesn't need it, and I've been saving for a house. I was so thankful that I gave him a big hug and started to skip like a teenaged girl on Justin Bieber concert. A month after that, Julie called me crying and telling a sob story about how now she can't afford rent in the same area, and that the schools are not as nice, and that her son misses his friends at the old school, that she can't have the same quality of life as before and having to sell a bunch of her stuff. She then asked me if she could live with me and pay half of the costs, bills, taxes, etc. I blow at her, called her a lying, manipulative, gold-digging bee, and that I don't help people like her, and hung up. I told the story to a few friends, and they said I could have been more sympathetic, or at least not have been so rude, since it's hard to be a single mother. So, am I the a-hole? Not an a-hole. Julie's circumstances are literally irrelevant. Because, to be perfectly frank, it isn't that she's a single mom that is making her life hard. It's that she has gone out of her way to make her life hard for herself and her son. Had she been okay with a co-parent situation and child support, things would have been fine. And had she accepted that Alan was not interested in ever being more than a one-time thing with her, then she could have lived without issue in an apartment she didn't have to pay for. Clearly, Julie wanted more. Well, congrats to her. She spoiled every good thing she had by being clingy to someone who was not hers, and then trying to mob him and her after 5 years of compounding evidence that she'll have to move on. Frankly, if it's so difficult to be a single mother, perhaps she should give full custody to the father. That's a potential option, isn't it? All in all, there are better and more honest ways to get an MRS degree than harassment and delusion. Just saying. So, I and my husband do not live in the US or any Western countries. We live in a country in Southeast Asia. I found out last month that my husband had been cheating on me with a younger, less well-to-do woman. She contacted me telling me she's pregnant with his kid and that he's refusing to be responsible for it. That their relationship lasted for 3 weeks. I was ready to divorce him and have contacted and armed myself with a lawyer. Our family begged me not to. His parents love me and don't like the affair partner because she's less educated, came from a less reputable family, money-oriented. She tried to blackmail my husband first, or she would contact me so I'll divorce him. And they dislike the fact that she was his affair partner. My family are religious Catholics and believe that I shouldn't divorce. My husband told me he doesn't love her and it was stupid of him. He has stopped any contact with her since before she contacted me, and apparently that was the reason why she contacted me in the first place. We're on therapy and we both decided to try to work things out. But I realized that I can't see any healing or relationship happening if the child is going to be there. If my husband has any sort of contact with the child and his affair partner at all, I don't think I want to or capable of working through this. It would remind me even more than I already get reminded of his betrayal. My husband agreed with it immediately. He also doesn't want to have a child. He never loved her and never wanted a child. The thing is, legally, it works out. A child born from an unmarried mother in our country is only listed under the mother's name. The father has no obligation whatsoever over the child. If anything, I have the right to sue the woman for having sex with my husband. I will not sue her, but this does mean we don't have to have any contact with her and can legally stop her from ever contacting my husband or me. She initially didn't want to abort her pregnancy, but she may change her mind if we tell her all this and bring my lawyer into it to tell her that my husband don't legally have to take care of the baby or give her any money. Abortion isn't legal, but there are options. My husband isn't off the hook either. We're on therapy, and I will still leave him if I sense things aren't satisfactory. I just don't think I would ever be okay with even trying things out if there's a child on top of this. Everyone around me agrees. They support it. But my grandma recently asked me if it wouldn't be cruel to the child if I do this, that I should be the bigger person and adopt the child. But I can't. I think it's wrong to say this, but it's a bit worse because this woman is very clearly not the same ethnicity as me. Even if I want a child, it will be very, very apparent that this is not my child, but the result of my husband's affair. I don't want any reminding that the child exists at all. Best would be if my husband never cheated on me, but that's done. Would I be the a-hole? Edit. To clarify some things, she's a S worker. My husband met her at a club and she was a karaoke girl. Do we know for sure that the child is his, or if the child is even real? No. She sent us a picture of a positive pregnancy kit. We have been advised by the lawyer to not pursue things further, making her take a test or DNA testing, because she thinks it has no merit and will just complicate things. We haven't contacted her since she texted me to tell me all these things, and I asked her some questions. Lawyer suggested any contact be done through lawyer. Her identity was proven by a private investigator I hired and my husband paid for. He suggested we do it himself during a therapy session to alleviate some trust issues. Our therapist okayed it, but said that there are more issues to unpack than a private investigation can just make go away. I did not force him. It was not my suggestion. My husband volunteered so I can start to try to trust him again. Said private investigator also reported that so far there has been no cheating allegation other than that one. My husband claimed the S was protected, condom provided by her, as she was a S worker. Another user said it doesn't say much, but the STI result did come back negative. He said that he already told her to have an abortion if things go wrong. He broke things off with her of his own volition. After he broke things off, she told him she's pregnant, then blackmailed him into paying her, or she'll tell me. He didn't. She told me, and told me to leave him because they're a family now, and I don't even have a child anyway. The reason my husband cheated. I've discussed this in therapy. There are other issues I don't wish to mention, but a part of it is peer pressure. Him and his business partners go to entertain a lot, and I do know that it's sometimes done in business scenes in my country. He felt pressured to have a side girl, and his partial Western upbringing makes him feel a bit left out that he hadn't went wild before he dated me seriously. We're addressing this and more through therapy. No, my husband doesn't want the child even without me saying this. He wouldn't have been a loving father. No, we both don't want kids. So him not loving this alleged unborn child doesn't mean he would be a bad father to our child, because we wouldn't have kids anyway. My husband does get punished for this deeds. There are things he did and his family supported he does that put me at a major advantage if he cheats again and I divorce him. We have agreed that the next time he cheats, I am free to press charges against him and whoever mistress he has. No, I'm not planning to sue the mistress in question. But I may if after my lawyer contacts her and discusses things with her, she continues to harass us. There is a possibility she may decide to abort or disappear. If it's true she's not pregnant or not with my husband. If our lawyer tells her she doesn't have legal rights. Legally, OP's husband may not have to take financial responsibility for his child, but morally he should, and he's the a-hole if he doesn't. The fact that he cheated on OP means he could do it again. If you love someone, why sleep with another person? It's not about what his family feels. It's about whether or not OP can trust him again after cheating. OP will be the a-hole if she won't encourage him to step up and raise this child, considering he's half of the reason it's coming into the world. I, 36 female, have been married to my husband Tom, 37 male, for 12 years, and we have 2 beautiful children, 10 female and 8 male respectively. For years I thought we had the perfect marriage. Tom was a caring and responsible father, and he showered the children with love and attention. However, 3 years ago, I found out he had cheated on me 5 years into our marriage, and his affair resulted in a son who is now 6 years old. From what Tom confessed to me, the child's mother is rather unstable, and she flipped her crap when he told her he was not going to leave me when she got pregnant. She told him she would raise the child on her own and refused to let him see his son. I was devastated when I found out, and we separated. I couldn't muster up the courage to divorce him though, because I still had lingering feelings for him. When COVID hit and it looked like we were going into quarantine, he begged me to let him move back in so he could be in the same bubble as our kids, because it would have been much harder for him to see them otherwise. I relented, and once we started living together again, my feelings for him came back stronger, and we decided to give our marriage another shot. Last week, though, Tom told me his ex-mistress called him up to tell him she wanted him to take the son. He told me she said COVID hit them hard, and she didn't want the kid anymore. She was leaving town, and if Tom didn't take him, she would just abandon the kid. Tom asked me if we could take in the kid because the mother was clearly unstable, and he wants the boy to have a father like our children do. I get that he wants to be with his son, But I'm just not okay with taking the kid in. I resent the boy, and I don't think I would be able to hide my hate for him if I have to live with him. My children have also been struggling with their father's affair and our separation and reunion, so I don't think they would handle having the kid move in well either. I told Tom I didn't want to take in the boy, and if he wants to live with him, he can move out and we will get divorced. Tom now thinks I'm cruel and selfish, and that I'm making him choose between our children and his own. And I guess in a way, that's what this will eventually become. Am I the a-hole for not allowing his son to live with us? Edited to add. I don't know if the mistress is really as unstable as he says, or if she is just completely washing her hands off with the kid. If what he tells me is true, though, I have no intention to stop him from being a father to the boy. But I just can't deal with us all living together and pretending we're just one big happy family. And since I can't hide my feelings, it would not be good for him to live with me either. I'm prepared for divorce this time and won't stop my children from seeing him. Tom is the one who wants to both have our family together and bring in another child. Not the a-hole. While the kid himself is innocent, Tom shouldn't be forcing OP to see the fruit of him cheating all the time. It may be indeed time for a divorce.